So, let me get this straight. It only took 1 week for Amari Cooper to look around and say, you know what? Nah, I'm good. Just like that. Fellas, what is going on with the Raiders right now? It feels like the organization can never, and I mean never, have a calm, uneventful offseason. Something always goes sideways, and more often than not, it hits right before the season even starts. You think you're ready, you think things are under control, and then boom, another headline that makes you question what you just saw. First, it was the whole Christian Wilkins situation, the drama, and the weirdness that caught everyone off guard. Then there were all those swirling trade rumors about Jacoby Myers, which had fans and analysts alike speculating and scratching their heads. And now, just when we thought we could finally settle in and enjoy the early days of preseason excitement, Amari Cooper, who just signed with the team last week, decides to retire from football 4 days before the Raiders' first game of the season. 4 days. Can you imagine the timing? I can't. Honestly, when I first saw the news, my brain just short-circuited. I thought it was a joke. I thought someone was messing with me because in my group chat, people were talking about it like it was some kind of prank. But then the reports started coming in, and it hit me. This is real. Amari Cooper is actually walking away, and he's doing it at a moment when the team could have really used him. It's wild. What makes it even crazier is the fact that just last week, he was out there full of confidence, talking about how much juice he still had left, how he wanted to come back and show everyone that he could still make a difference on the field. He was hyped to be part of this team again. He was excited to reconnect with the silver and black, and suddenly, he's done. Just like that, he's gone. Now, don't get me wrong. I wasn't expecting Amari Cooper to come back and immediately put up a Pro Bowl season or lead the league in receptions. That wasn't the point. The thing that had fans like me excited was the idea of reliving the glory days. The thought of seeing him on the field again, catching passes, being part of the offense, even if it was just to give the team a little spark here and there, was enough. I wanted that nostalgia. I wanted that feeling of seeing a familiar, elite talent suited up for the Raiders again. And now, it feels like someone pulled the rug out from under us, leaving a mix of disappointment and confusion that's hard to shake. Reports say that Cooper broke the news to the team today, letting them know he no longer has the desire to play. After signing at the end of camp for what was supposed to be a hopeful reunion with the team that drafted him, he's now headed home from Las Vegas, leaving the Raiders without the veteran presence they were counting on. And honestly, I still don't fully know how to process it. The initial shock was overwhelming. Seeing it on social media, hearing chatter from other fans, and then seeing confirmation from multiple sources, it all just didn't compute at first. My mind kept running in circles. Why would he come back only to retire almost immediately? Why even sign a contract if the plan was to walk away days before the season opener? It's one of those things that leaves you staring at the screen, questioning reality. You got to understand, the timing is brutal. The preseason was almost over, practices were underway, and the team was gearing up for the opening game. Amari Cooper himself had been talking up his own readiness, claiming he still had a lot left to give. He said he wanted to show it, to prove that he could still make an impact. And then, just like that, it's over. No explanation beyond the fact that he's no longer feeling it, no longer wants to play, no longer has the drive to continue his career. Some fans have speculated about whether he looked slow or out of shape during practice, comparing him to younger, fresher players. Others point to statements from coaching staff who acknowledged his talent, but hinted that perhaps he simply wasn't in the right headspace to continue. Chip Kelly, for example, mentioned that you could still see the skill in Amari Cooper. He's a talented player, no doubt. But even with all the physical ability, something wasn't clicking. Cooper reportedly had conversations with the coaching staff, and the consensus seemed to be that, at this point in his life and career, he's ready to move on. Still, it's hard to reconcile that with the image of him on the field just days earlier, suited up and running through drills. Fans and analysts alike were left scratching their heads, trying to figure out how someone can go from "I still got the juice" to retirement in such a short span of time. Some speculation points to his position on the depth chart. Maybe he saw that he wasn't going to start immediately, that his role wouldn't be as significant as he hoped, and decided it wasn't worth it. Maybe he just realized he wasn't feeling like his old self, and chose to step away before the season began. The truth is, we probably won't know the full story anytime soon, and that's part of what makes this so frustrating for fans. The Raiders, meanwhile, have to adjust on the fly. They're already dealing with a thin wide receiver room and a number of uncertainties at other positions. Losing Cooper at the last minute changes the dynamics of the team and puts pressure on younger players to step up. At 31 years old, Cooper wasn't coming back to reinvent himself or carry the team. He was supposed to provide veteran leadership, a little spark on offense, and a sense of nostalgia for the fans. Nothing more, nothing less. And while his absence is disappointing, especially for those of us who were genuinely excited to see him back in silver and black, it's not necessarily catastrophic. The young receivers now have an opportunity to prove themselves, and the coaching staff will have to make adjustments to compensate for the sudden loss. At the end of the day, you can't fault the player for making a personal decision. It's unfortunate, yes, and it leaves fans feeling a bit hollow, but retirement is a choice he clearly felt he had to make. And for the Raiders, it's a chance to evaluate the depth chart, reassess strategies, and perhaps even bring in a new piece or two to fill the gap. There are still options out there, veterans who could add experience and reliability, and the team will have to navigate this situation carefully. It's the kind of drama that the Raiders seem to attract, where nothing is ever simple or predictable. From trade rumors to retirements, to contract disputes and roster moves, the offseason feels like a roller coaster with no breaks. And now, with Cooper stepping away, fans are left wondering, who will rise to the occasion? Which young players will step up? How will the offense adjust without the veteran presence that everyone hoped would provide a boost? The questions are endless, and the answers will unfold in real time as the season begins. Now, with Amari Cooper out of the picture, the spotlight immediately shifts to the rest of the Raiders' wide receiver room. And let me tell you, it is thin, really thin. At this point, the team only has 4 receivers officially on the roster: Jack B., Dante Thornton Jr., Trey Tucker, and Jacoby Myers. That's it. For guys, that's not a lot to spread the ball around, especially considering injuries, matchup adjustments, and the inevitable fatigue that comes with a full NFL season. Suddenly, every target, every route, every play counts that much more. The young guys now have a chance to step into bigger roles. But it's a lot of pressure for players who are probably expecting to play supporting roles rather than being relied upon as primary offensive weapons. Let's start with Jacoby Myers. This is a guy who's quietly been a consistent contributor, even if he's not always the flashiest name on the field. He's coming off his best season, recording over 1,000 receiving yards, and yet the team still hasn't extended his contract. It's baffling to a lot of fans because Myers has proven he can be a reliable and productive target. He's not a number 1 receiver in the traditional sense, but as a complementary piece alongside the top guys, he's been invaluable. His professionalism, his work ethic, and the way he consistently shows up year after year make him one of the more underrated players on this roster. And now, with Cooper gone, his role could become even more prominent, which might be just a shakeup he needs to step fully into the spotlight. But there's also some tension here. Myers wanted an extension, and the Raiders denied it. That's where things get complicated. From a business perspective, the team is within its rights, and there are always budget considerations. But from a team chemistry and morale perspective, it's tricky. Myers has been a soldier for this team, putting in the work through multiple coaching regimes, offensive coordinators, and system changes. He's been a reliable weapon through it all, and yet he's left waiting on the sidelines in terms of contract negotiations. You can see why some fans are frustrated, because it almost feels like a player who's earned his place is being undervalued. And with the sudden retirement of Cooper, it's a real test of how the Raiders handle the situation. Will they finally recognize his value and get a deal done, or will they risk him walking or being distracted by contract disputes while the season is underway? For the younger players, this is an opportunity, but also a huge challenge. Jack B. and Dante Thornton Jr. now have more responsibility than they expected at the start of camp. Trey Tucker, another young receiver, will also need to step up. The team will have to rely heavily on their development, their ability to read defenses, and their consistency in catching the football. This is where practice performance, focus, and confidence become key. A single dropped pass or missed route can have a magnified effect, especially when the room is so thin. And let's not forget the mental side of the game. These players now carry a bigger piece of the team's offensive identity, and that pressure can either elevate them or expose weaknesses that weren't evident before. The Raiders also have to think about outside options. There are free agents available, veterans who could step in and provide both experience and stability. Some names that come up in discussions include players like Philip Dorsett, who spent the offseason with the team and already has chemistry with the roster. He's familiar with the system and could provide a reliable presence. Tyler Boyd is another potential addition. He's a steady, consistent player who could help fill the void left by Cooper. But perhaps the most intriguing name is Kendrick Bourne, recently released by the Patriots. Bourne brings versatility, veteran savvy, and a knack for creating mismatches in the passing game. If he stays healthy, he could be a perfect rotational piece to mentor the younger receivers while still contributing on the field. The challenge, of course, is balancing the desire for talent with financial and roster realities. Bringing in a free agent isn't just about skill. It's also about fitting into the team's structure, salary cap considerations, and long-term planning. The Raiders need players who can step in immediately without disrupting the locker room or the offensive flow. And with a season opener just days away, the timeline is brutal. There's no luxury for extended evaluation or long-term integration. Whoever comes in has to contribute right away. That's why the decisions the front office makes over the next few days are so critical. Now, circling back to Jakobi Meyers, this situation is a real microcosm of the Raiders' current off-season challenges. He's been patient, professional, and committed even while seeing other players receive extensions and deals. He's expressed that he wants to get paid fairly, which is reasonable given his production, but the team hasn't yet agreed to terms. If the Raiders fail to reach an agreement, there's a chance they could move on, potentially trading him to another team willing to meet his contract demands. That would be a huge loss, especially with a depleted receiving core. On the other hand, if they come to terms, it could stabilize the position and provide some much-needed continuity in an otherwise turbulent offseason. Either way, this is a story that will unfold rapidly, and the outcome will have a major impact on how the Raiders approach the season. Fans are understandably frustrated with the turnover and uncertainty. Losing Cooper, debating Meyers' contract, and managing a thin roster creates a lot of anxiety for anyone invested in the team. But this is also where the Raiders' identity comes into play. Adaptability, resilience, and making the most of whatever situation is presented. The young receivers now have a chance to prove themselves, and the front office has a chance to make shrewd moves that could benefit the team long-term. Every decision matters more than ever, and the margin for error is razor-thin. This is the kind of drama that makes following the Raiders both frustrating and captivating. From unexpected retirements to contract negotiations to roster thinness and free agent maneuvers, the team is navigating a season-opening storm. And for fans, it's a roller coaster ride with excitement, disappointment, and hope all wrapped into one. The storylines are already rich, and the first game is just the beginning. How the team responds to adversity, how the young receivers step up, and how the front office manages the remaining pieces will define this season in ways that go far beyond wins and losses. Before we continue, don't forget to subscribe to our channel and give this video a like. Your support helps us keep bringing you the latest updates on our Las Vegas Raiders. And don't be shy. Drop your thoughts on the news in the comments below. In what could be one of the more surprising admissions of the season, NFL mastermind Bill Belichick has reportedly turned heads by showering praise on the Las Vegas Raiders, calling them a serious contender for the championship. Known for his careful, often reserved commentary, Belichick's comments have sent shockwaves through the league, sparking intense speculation about the Raiders' rising status and potential in the current season. Belichick, whose Patriots have dominated the NFL for 2 decades, rarely hands out compliments so freely, especially to teams outside his own division. Insiders suggest that this endorsement may not just be polite chatter. It could signal a broader acknowledgement of the Raiders' growth under the radar. Analysts are now dissecting every word. wondering whether Belichick sees in Las Vegas the kind of balanced roster and strategic depth that could finally disrupt the hierarchy of the AFC. The buzz started quietly during a post-practice interview when Belichick mentioned the Raiders' ability to do a lot of things well and hinted at their potential to go all the way if everything clicks. While he stopped short of predicting a championship outright, the implication was unmistakable. The Raiders are no longer merely a middle-of-the-pack team. They are a threat. This has ignited a wave of chatter among fans and commentators alike, with sportsbooks reportedly seeing a sudden spike in Raiders-related bets following the remarks. Speculation is now rife that Belichick's praise could also have strategic undertones. Some pundits suggest he might be sending a message to other teams in the AFC, perhaps as a subtle warning that the Raiders cannot be underestimated this year. Others think it might even hint at potential moves or trades that could elevate the Raiders further, though nothing official has been confirmed. Whatever the truth, the rumor mill is in overdrive. Fans in Las Vegas are buzzing, imagining a season where their team finally breaks through into serious playoff contention. Meanwhile, the rest of the NFL is left to wonder if the Raiders' quiet rise is about to explode into something that could upend the traditional power structure. Belichick's words have done more than compliment. They've set the stage for a narrative that will follow the Raiders all season, and perhaps all the way to the postseason spotlight. That's it for this update. If you enjoyed the video and want to stay updated with exclusive news about our Las Vegas Raiders, be sure to subscribe to our channel and hit that like button. We can't wait to hear your thoughts in the comments. See you in the next video.